All right, problem 3.2. We're in millimeters. The part origin is at the front lower center. The part is symmetric, lines, center lines, sketch patterns, extrude boss, and linear sketch pattern to create the vanes for our heat sink. So let's see what we have for dimensions. 80 millimeters deep, 5 millimeters at the base, 1 millimeter width. So fairly small, 1 millimeter at the top, and 93, and that 93 goes all the way to the bottom. So we'll want to see how that connects. Now, we're not given an overall, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're counting on this first geometry being correct to get 12 items, so that we can complete out the width. All right, well, let's go to try. So new part millimeter, front plane, and sketch. And since that's at the center, I don't use the midpoint line very often, but occasionally, when we have the chance, we'll put it in there. And then it switched me right back into lines, so that was convenient. What do we have for an overall of 35? And probably don't want it too far off of vertical, but not enough really to worry about. But watching those inference lines, knowing that it's going to go horizontal or potentially perpendicular, we want to try to make sure that we get the horizontal if we're going to keep going continuous. And then we'll bring it back down and over. So the problem with the first one is that if I do the sketch pattern through this whole thing, I'm probably going to end up, no, I know I'm going to end up with a bunch of contours and regions, which this has already got some complexity. And this being optional, I'm going to say that I'm going to go ahead with the geometry, and then I'm going to introduce a nifty little tool to kind of separate those back out. All right, so let's give it the overall of 35. We know that we have 1 millimeter that way as well, 1 millimeter that way, and 5 millimeters. And again, just the scroll wheel jumping around is my zoom. 5 millimeters that way, and then wherever the zoom wheel is pointing, I'm just using the scroll wheel mouse to kind of finish out that geometry. So if you don't like the direction of the angle, you can go to the adjacent, the included, the compa, and all of those fun angles. So we're going to go to 87. All right, so that gives me the first reason it's going to stay under defined is that it's not complete. All right, so I want to go in and find, and where is my normal sketch commands for the S? No, that wasn't what I was looking for, but let's go ahead with tools, sketch tools, and there is I didn't know it was Shift S, but there is a tool called Split Entities, and I would like to split this line at that point. So it doesn't get rid of any relations. It doesn't, it still remains collinear. It still has the angle, but now I would be able to make that coincident. Okay, so the important part is that I'm going to be able to take this geometry, and if we go right to left, yeah, I got the crossing in there, so let's make sure that we do not include that little segment for the height, and we'll go into linear sketch pattern, And then these are going to be a total of 12 items reversing the direction. Now, for our build, I need to connect, and I probably could have measured or put it in a driven. Why don't we do that real quick and see if that ends up being a nominal number that they gave us. So I can use the driven dimension 4.14, but when I select on it, it is 4. Okay, there's a lot more there than what I really want to deal with. So one of the things that I can do is I know 4, 5, maybe 6 is going to be a lot closer than the 10. So if I do the selection from left and right, I get a lot less in my selection set. And then we're going to go to 6 and reverse the direction, and a total of 12. All right, the reason that this works then is that I'm going to be able to drag this endpoint to this endpoint, maybe. Okay, then I'm going to be able to select and control select and make those coincident, unless it barks at me. Did it? Oh, I left the dimension on. All right, so in this case, I should have told it not to do the X dimension, but I wouldn't mind knowing what that value is. So if I change it over to driven, the 5.144467 all works out. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now this one we don't need. And as far as a sketch geometry, I'm pretty sure I can just delete it without any major problems. And we'll kind of pull those back together so that I can connect the dots. And then we're going to select, control, select, and make those collinear as well. So all of that gives me the fully defined sketch. All right, there are other ways to go through it, but the fact that the angle stays on that side and the angle on that side, not really having a decent nominal number there, I think this gives me a good mix where the sketch solves on the relations rather than having to have hard dimensions. All right, so blind condition to 80 millimeters. We'll reverse the direction and go ahead and hit OK. All right, so for our geometry then, we ended up with 98,479. So let's see how I did. And 98,478.5. Okay, we'll take that. We're rounding up a little bit, but that gives us geometry that's pretty close. All right, so sometimes seeing the sketch patterns, going through that process, being able to visualize, go through the sorting through the noise, not having to have all of the information complete, but letting it come to you and build out as you complete the sketch is a really good strategy.